What's up everyone? My name is Jarrett Stone, and in this video, I'm going to give you a 5-question quiz to determine whether you should become a lawyer. Welcome to Law Venture, a channel devoted to lawyers, and in this case, future lawyers, because most likely if you're watching this video, you're still contemplating on whether or not you want to become a lawyer. Luckily, you've come to the right place. As I said, I'll have a 5-question quiz that'll help determine whether or not you're on the right path or if this is something you should even begin to contemplate. I want to go ahead and preface everything by saying that this isn't the end-all be-all. Each of these 5 questions are factors that I want you just to consider and apply to your life and try and be truthful and honest whenever you're making these considerations. Okay, let's begin. Question 1, do you enjoy being a student? Question 2, do you see yourself ever being a teacher? Question 3, do you think you have the skill sets to be a good waiter or waitress? Question 4, could you ever see yourself being a therapist? Question 5, do you consider yourself to be a planner? I hope you're able to take a few minutes to kind of answer the question and think about why you answered the way you did. Now, before I just dive into the analysis, let me start by saying if you answered any of the questions by thinking, well, I guess it depends, then good news. You're ready to become a lawyer, because essentially in the legal profession, there is no yes or no, or it's very rare. And most answers are normally, yeah, it kind of depends. Okay, let's dive into question number 1. And this can be boiled down to the fact that you need to be willing to be a student. Now, I'm not just talking about going through undergrad to get your bachelor's and going through law school to get your JD. That takes 7 years, and you need to be willing to do that. And honestly, a lot of people, just the idea of going through that much schooling scares them off. But if 7 years of schooling is cool with you, then I want you to think more big picture. And that big picture is, as a lawyer, you're basically a forever student. You're a student until the day you retire. And then just as life advice, you should actually be a student in all aspects of your life. That way you can continue to grow, but that's just a little side note. But as a lawyer, you're always having to keep up with the law, because the law is this changing, moving, rules of the game type of scenario. Now let me use myself as an example. I began with experience working in a prosecutor's office. So I had experience with criminal law. Then life transitioned to where I started working and doing family law work. And then life transitioned to where I was doing personal injury work. And then life transitioned one more time to where not only am I doing personal injury work, but I'm also handling class actions. And I can tell you in each one of those scenarios and paths, I was having to do my homework. Not only just so I could know what I was doing, but also so I could better represent my clients or victims in the prosecutor's case. When I started handling class actions, it was extremely intimidating calling up a defense attorney who works at this huge law firm, and they're representing a billion-dollar company, and I have zero experience, or at least hands-on experience, handling class actions. And so you pick up the phone and you're a little nervous and you don't want to sound dumb, you don't want them to know how inexperienced you are. Luckily, you're able to handle it if you're able to put in the work and you're able to do the research. So let's transition from being a student to being a teacher, because in reality, as a lawyer, you have to be both. And most likely what you have to do, depending on kind of what niche you're in as a lawyer, but most likely you're gonna have to be talking to your clients on a daily basis and explaining them the law, because they don't know the law like you do, they don't know the language like you do. And you have to be able to explain it in a very simple form and in a very simple fashion so that they understand it and so that they're happy with what decision you're recommending they take. In a similar situation, you also need to be a teacher when it comes to having a jury trial. And what you have to do is you have to explain in jury selection or during the actual trial to a jury the law, and you have to be able to simplify it. And if you're typically the one who can simplify it better than the other side, then your odds of winning go much, much higher, because they understand you. And typically, just mentally, if someone can understand what someone else is saying, then they trust that person than the person who's just saying things that's confusing and it's way over their head. Now this leads me to question number 4, which is whether you could be a therapist or if you think you would be a good therapist. The reason why I asked this question is because if you're in the service industry, you're also gonna have to counsel your client. Because the truth is, the client isn't always gonna make the decision that best helps the client. It's your job to protect the client from him or herself. You'll be surprised how often you have to do that, but sometimes during the legal process, emotions are high and the client isn't seeing very clearly. Now this leads me into the final question, question number 5, whether or not you are a planner. I'll go ahead and tell you, in most aspects of my life, I'm not a planner. When it comes to going on vacations, I typically don't even plan what I'm gonna do there. My job on vacation is just to relax. That's the only plan I have. But in the legal sense, you need to be a planner. And a better word probably is strategist, because when the client comes in, you need to have a strategy of how the client's gonna get to the finish line. This gets pretty fun if you really get into it, because when you have to anticipate what the other side's doing, you can really start kind of playing chess a little bit. Maybe you move one piece one direction, or you have a smoke screen, or you give them facts and they start going down this rabbit hole that doesn't lead to anywhere, and you just keep progressing and strengthening your case, and by the end of it, the other side doesn't know how in the world their case became so weak and yours became so strong, and then the client's super happy because the client gets either most or all of what they wanted, and it's because you were able to see the finish line before you even got there, and the other side wasn't able to. And that right there will put you miles ahead of the competition, and that's what will make you a great lawyer. Okay, so you can take these 5 questions or 5 factors and you can apply them to your life to help you kind of determine whether or not you should start going down the path and becoming a lawyer. On that note, in the comment section, let me know the results of this quiz, or if you ever have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. If you need to get in contact with me directly, shameless plug, I just made a Twitter account, reach out to me there. And don't forget, subscribe below, that way you can get the latest videos as soon as they come out. See you in the next one. What's up everyone, my name is Jarrett Stone. I don't like how I do that. I forget to blink sometimes and my eyes get real watery. Maybe you do a move and smoke screen a little bit and the other side gives in and completely tries to go down a rabbit hole, and then you try and skirt that, and I'm doing a whole bunch of movements that probably aren't relevant, and this is gonna make it on the bloopers.